especially when you look at what's happening in what were traditionally resource-based industry towns. With the decline of the logging industry and mining hurting and the collapse of the fisheries, this idea of a living wage is more important than ever, because what once were thriving communities that were largely supported by working women and men who earned a living wage, those wages are vanishing. We've seen the statistics are very clear that over the last 30 years, working people have not been keeping up with the cost of living, and their purchasing power is down substantially. And we've seen, I think, what's even more concerning for just the value of our community and our democracy is that you're seeing a much greater concentration of wealth at the top end of the pyramid, and that's not good for any society. So I think the Living Wage campaign is sort of our first effort. We're going to roll it out here in Maple Ridge because it does tie in with what our members of Maple Ridge are dealing with. And so we think it's a natural fit and an important issue that we intend to raise in other locations as well.
It sounds almost that it's a reinvention of an older model of sustainability, which is a little bit ironic, but something that I obviously think is quite necessary. Are you hopeful that your efforts in terms of getting these issues out, are you hopeful that they will be received and the outcomes that you want? Are you hopeful for the positive outcomes?
Yeah, I mean, we always are. I mean, there's, history is full of all kinds of horrible acts of cruelty, and we see them on a regular basis, but, there's a lot of compassion and kindness and, really important human values and caring that come along with that. And when you boil this particular issue down, this is about technically it's about a labor dispute, but it really goes much deeper than that. It strikes to the heart of the kind of values that we want to embrace in our communities. And so on the one hand, if we can create enough awareness about the idea and importance of a living wage or the opportunity to earn a living wage in Maple Ridge here, I mean, maybe we do help, in a sort of tangential or even intangible way, tweak Loblaw's conscience a little bit to think that, well, maybe there's another way of looking at this, because it has to be about more than just the bottom line. That's what's got our society into an awful lot of trouble on every front, on the economic front and the environment as well. So, and the argument is sound. The argument is too right to argue with, quite frankly, about the creation of a living wage. And it's not about bankrolling or bankrupting companies or creating an untenable business model for them at all. This is something that they have a real stake in, and I think that it's something that we need to get a dialogue going on, so that's what we're trying to do. And I think the creation of this video is a part of that effort.
I'm standing here with Craig Spears. He is a 4-time member of the Maple Ridge Council.
Our seniors areas has grown out of a desire to create an area that really works for those that have mobility issues. And we've, through our accessibility committee, the planning commission, all of those kind of entities have taken the cue from the Legion. And the Legion is probably the most richest Legion in Canada right now. And what they've done is they've built senior housing, and they concentrated, of course, close to the Legion, and that has grown quite exponentially. So that's where the hub is. And one thing we are united on, and we've written 2 letters to both the union and management, addressed to both, because we have the feeling on council is we should treat both in a similar manner. The union has been very forthcoming and wants to create some kind of settlement, but what we end up is with no feedback from the management side. So it's been very difficult. We would encourage arbitration, but unless both sides want to dance, you don't end up much of a prom. So we're going to be, we'll keep pressing it a bit. We're going into 15 months on this strike. It's just unconscionable. We have, which has developed over time, is a seniors area here. And just because it's at the top of the hill, the center of town, it's flat, it's easy to access. So we want to create a very urbanized, diverse center of our town that has a lot of things going for it. And but right at the moment we don't have a grocery store. It's been 15 months, which takes equity away from our downtown and into other communities, which is very, very difficult to watch happen. And we know that eventually there will be a resolution to this, but we want a resolution that's fair to all sides. At least I do. I think it's really important that people get paid a wage that will sustain a family. If you're feeding families, you should be paying enough to sustain one. There definitely is common political ground around this. The respect that has not been shown the community, the workers, and quite frankly, the general shopping public. It's just been disastrous. And we have, I'd love to say that's positive, but what's the most positive thing I can say about it is people have gotten united. Seniors have pulled themselves together. The union folks, of course, have had to stretch out of their comfort zone into the political realm. So anything that connects people with the political system and gets them so that encourages them to be involved, I think is a positive thing. And it's usually a negative thing that makes that happen. There are not a lot of Olympics that are going to happen on a regular basis. So people usually react and get involved because of a negative stressor in their life. And I understand that. And so that's why I'm standing here. Because as a retiree, in 2 years, I barely admit that, but as a retiree, my day is coming, and we need to have a fully functioning downtown to make it real easy for everybody. And we're not there right at the moment. We're doing our bit in City Hall. I think we're trying to set the table. And guess what? We've got to travel out of the community to get the food to put on it. What I would like is a positive resolution to this, and one that reflects a bit of respect for the workers who've done the yeoman's job. We're well loved within their community, and obviously the shoppers love them and have had long-term relationships with many of them. And all of a sudden they're being discredited, discarded, and disrespected. And I don't think that's a way to build a viable business. I don't care how big you are. You've got to have a real smile when you open your shop. And this does not produce a smile. It's a very difficult situation. So the positive outcome I'd like to see is a freely negotiated settlement that respects both sides. That's what I'd like to see.
Well said. Thank you very much for your time, sir.
More than welcome.